All right, so why don't we call the meeting to order? Why don't we do the Pledge of Allegiance and we'll get started? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so let's start with the agenda. So the minutes for the 15th, I don't know if you guys had a chance to review those.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So unanimously approved. New business, Mr. Angel, your business administrator comments.
Okay, so we received a food nutrition grant from the USDA that reimburses the district for lost revenues in the amount of $18,005.86, which equates roughly close to our June 30th year-end deficit of $18,603. Tonight, the board's going to consider receiving this grant. The next thing is we've also been seeing increases in operating costs, which appears to be in line with inflation discussions from the federal government. We're expecting energy prices to increase in the future. Heating oil for the past 4 fiscal years is as follows. 2019 is $2.49. 2020 is $2.03.5. 2021 is $1.55. And 2022 is $2.19. As you can see from the raise, heating oil prices have declined year over year, but have begun to increase. We're right now we're ahead of the we're on the favorable side of the New Hampshire average heating oil rate, which is currently over $3 per gallon. The projected rate that the federal government has projected for this fiscal year is going to be about $3.50 per gallon. Okay, so the increase in heating oil prices are also reflected in the CPIU index for the New England region. The current consumer price index increased in September 4.1% for New England, 4 for the Boston metro area, 5.2 for rural areas, and so really we're just a mixture in there. So percentages are pretty high for consumer price index. Okay.
What percent is locked in that of your anticipated needs this year?
For the heating oil,
Yeah.
I've locked in 85,000 gallons.
How many do we normally use? What percent?
We use about 85,000 gallons.
So we've locked in.
We've locked in for the year.
But next year, when you put the budget, you're going to be putting in an increase of some amount to cover inflation.
Yes, I have an inflation factor in there.
Have you decided on the percent yet?
Sorry?
Have you decided on the percent for that factor?
I'm reluctant that I'm putting a 5% inflation factor in for heating oil. And it's actually higher for electricity. One of the electric providers just recently locked in their rates, and it's a significant increase over last year. I don't remember which one it was. They went from like 14 cents to 17 cents. So we're going to be seeing some increases. Okay. Financial condition of the district. Currently, the district has a current cash balance as of September 30th of $7,193,401. Twice a year, we notify the towns of Kingston and Newton of their assessment payments. Because we're returning over $2 million this year, we've decided to make it a third time, and we're reducing the assessment payments to the member towns. Essentially, we're helping out their cash flow because we essentially don't need the money.
So instead of getting paid twice, we're getting paid 3 times?
No, it's a schedule. It's a monthly schedule.
Oh,
Okay. And what it was, we have to issue it before the end of the fiscal year. So we don't know what the amount of money that we're returning back to the taxpayers.
right.
And such a significant number, it was beneficial just to redo it. And we've already gotten a thank you from one of the towns. Okay.
So it's not impacting the overall payments into the district. It's just a timing issue.
Yeah, normally just to go along with that comment, normally we run about $6 million a month. Right now we're at 7.2. So we have more cash than we need on hand.
So this gives them more time to collect their taxes.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Without taking out a loan and incurring the interest on the loan, which then turns into taxes on the town side.
So what are
Is
they
that
charging
something
for that?
towns
For
do,
that?
take out loans?
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So
Is that something that happens?
theoretically, well, we try to avoid that, but theoretically, we could ask for the money in an earlier time frame before they collected it. Legally, they would have to then take out a loan to pay it, is my understanding.
Yes.
Which they would then incur interest on that loan, and then the townspeople, the same people that fund this, fund the town, so it makes no sense to put them in that position.
Right.
Right.
So essentially, right now, the school is saving the town interest as well.
If they have to borrow it,
If they were to have to borrow.
that's correct.
Oh, well, you know, big night, product.
Okay, now, next I usually talk about expenditures on the, in the finance committee meeting. We identified a problem with the accounting system and how it's dealing with health insurance. And so I've had to pull those reports. We actually have to make an adjustment to the system. It was an import error from the old system and how the new system operates. But generally, I'm sorry, speaking about revenues, so far we've collected, recorded just over $25 million in revenues, which includes all of the town's assessments, which have been recorded as accounts receivable. And so far the towns have been paying monthly according to their monthly payments scheduled timely. Okay.
Question on revenues. I was going back the other day and looking at last year. And last year, we ended up getting 400,000 or something dollars back in insurance.
Yes.
Anything like that happening this year?
Okay, so what Jamie's talking about is we pay health insurance premiums, and if the claims don't come in, we actually get a return of those premiums. What I'm seeing is, or what we saw during COVID is
Some of the premium,
not the whole thing, but it was a significant number that I had to report it to the finance committee.
Yeah.
Because it just stood right out.
Yeah, last year was like $400-something thousand.
Yeah, it was a huge number. Yeah, so part of the 2.3 million we're returning is a return of the insurance surplus. So so what I'm seeing is a transition from not using a lot of healthcare services during COVID to all of a sudden using a lot of healthcare services. Okay, so I'm anticipating not to see much of the healthcare get returned next summer. I'm also anticipating health insurance premiums to increase as a result.
So when do we have the health insurance proposal and the estimate on what's going to be returned? Are they sure they're different timings, right?
Yeah, it is. We will know the number way too late for our budget discussion.
So I have a question. So are we self-funded, or why is that? Why is there additional,
Okay,
if it's because of COVID, is it not because people didn't take it, or?
yes, that's correct.
Okay,
So we're,
so people just chose to not be on insurance because they had a struggle, sir.
They didn't use it.
that's right. So it looks like we're self-funded. We're in a big giant pool of a lot of other school districts and municipalities.
Okay,
Okay, and so the costs are shared in that pool across everybody.
okay, so we get a
Okay.
premium, and then based upon what's actually getting used between the pool, we
Yes,
get some of that money back. So that's not necessarily that we hired a bunch of people who didn't take it. That's
That's-
not what
yeah,
this is from.
and it's
Okay.
really based upon our experience rate. So if our employees aren't taking it, our experience rate is really good, and we're gonna get more of the pie back
Okay,
based upon other
it's
communities.
like, so like you said, it's like we're self-funded, but we're not self-funded.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I have one last thing down here. This afternoon, one of the pumps at BIK septic system failed. We hope to have it running by the end of tomorrow, but you're gonna see a significant expenditure for that repair.
Did you, I don't mean to jump items if I missed something, but Jim is kind of intimidating with the goatee, so I want to be careful. You know, he used to be so kind looking, and now he looks like the guy from Breaking Bad.
You'd be wearing my hoodie, right?
Yeah. No, did you talk about the card scanner for the elevator
Not
yet?
yet.
Okay, all right, I'll be quiet.
Okay, can I jump onto heating oil?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I have a budget adjustment here for heating oil. Basically what I did is I went through, calculated what, let me see if I have it down here. Yes, I have a worksheet on it. So we're paying $2.19. We also pay two different taxes on it, environmental fee and an LUST tax. The total amount that's going to be transferred is $188,168.75. And then I also have it allocated to the different, I need 188,000, I mean, and we're going to be transferring 38,168.75 to cover the increase, because I budgeted at a lower number last year. Okay, so let's see.
So that's almost a 30% increase.
Yeah, yes,
So, so the adjustments, if I'm understanding this correctly, it comes out of, well, what we were just talking about, the health insurance premium reductions, but you make the adjustments from like somewhere where you had overage, is that,
that's correct.
that's what I'm,
Yes,
So just so you're aware, Maura, at the beginning of the year, we traditionally had been budgeting for a 10% increase. And then last year, we haven't seen that. And so the money comes out of there to cover these other accounts that are higher.
right, okay,
And then this past budget, we only went in with 6.5%, and it still seems to be high. So there's money available in that account to switch to this account. It's
okay,
not any net new money, it's just what account we're charging. it.
right.
yes.
Okay.
Health insurance is super tricky because if you have 10 people switch from single to full family, it's
Yeah.
$100,000. Right, so we
Yeah.
have to budget enough in there. It's not just the maximum rate that they charge us at the time that we get the maximum rate. It's also the possible changes over the summer. We have 40 employees switch over,
Yeah,
as we have for the last 4 years. You
just
can
over the
imagine.
summer, 40 people
Yeah,
switched.
the last 4 years, it's been around 40, 35 and 40, 45.
That's people turnover, not necessarily.
People turnover, not necessarily changing insurance.
Oh,
But all those are gonna be new people with new needs, and you don't know what they're gonna be saying they
Right.
need.
Exactly, or you have single people that get married and or have a baby, they move from single to family, which is about $15,000 difference. So insurance can vary greatly for an organization like this.
Okay,
And so that's for 38,168.75. So I gotta report that to the board tonight.
Yeah, so I need you to either approve it or deny it, please.
motion to approve?
Thank you.
Second. Any discussion? Okay, vote, all in favor? Aye. Okay, so unanimous?
All right, the next item is the USDA grant. I provided you a copy of the letter that's going to be discussed at tonight's public hearing. This grant covers the revenue shortage in the fund, $18,005.86.
We don't have to vote on that because the board is, right? Is that
That's
correct?
right. I'm just letting you know as the finance committee, because in one of the previous finance committee meetings, I notified this board that that fund had a deficit and that this is pretty much going to wipe out that deficit.
You jumped over my transfer of appropriation for seminary property.
Yeah. All right. I'm sorry about that. Basically, I need to spend some time on this. Because the seminary has not yet been sold, we need to transfer.
Hasn't been closed.
I'm sorry?
Hasn't been
It hasn't closed yet, right? We need to transfer some appropriation for electricity and propane related to the seminary property. And I need to do a more finite analysis of that and what we're going to estimate through the end of December. Okay, so that is coming up.
Now, when you're doing that, could you also look at that, compare that to the extra money we got from the purchaser to see if you know, where we are in line with that?
Yes,
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 just emailed Eric again right now.
Okay,
He is working on some drawings to talk to the historical commission.
great.
And once, if the historic commission approves the drawings and things that he's preparing to do, then he will go to, I think, the zoning board. But I'm not really sure because I don't do municipal. Matt would know, is that the correct? The feeling was that the historical commission would want to be,
yes.
we want them to be supportive, right?
Yeah, I think it's historical commission. I think the recommendation was historical commission first.
Yeah.
Because if you get the historical commission in support of it.
Yeah.
Then you won't have the historical commission opposed to it.
Exactly, yeah, I mean, it's gonna make sense that you want everyone to feel
Right.
good about it, so. The last thing he told me was that he was a little frustrated with his architect because he was waiting for some drawings. And I just emailed him to ask him an update, and I did post a bunch of stuff on Facebook last night, updating some folks that were curious as well.
Yeah, good, because it's being asked about.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I told him, I said, it must be the clock ticking, because people are asking kind of every other day what's going on, so. I mean, it's kind of in his hands, so I'm trying not to be persuasive or pushy. I just check in with him every week or two just to see how he's doing, and he's,
So he knows you're there.
yeah. He's
Well,
doing
I
great.
mean, literally time's running, right? If you have it till December.
Right, but it's important to remember that he doesn't have to have approval to close.
Right.
It's up to him
Right.
if he wants approval before he closes.
Yeah.
So I think he's aware of that. So I'm really not that concerned about it, but that doesn't mean, it's really up to him. He has to decide if he's gonna close or not. So,
He has the contingency in there that if he so wants that, he can exercise it,
that's right,
but he can waive it and just go with it.
right,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Okay,
Jim, it's nice having you in person.
Yeah, it's nice being here.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
all right, the next one for elevator access control, I only have one quote. And I didn't want to bring in, I'm missing the quote from the elevator company. They have not yet provided it to me. The quote that I currently have is over $4,000. And that's for the card access. The total quote, last time we did this was under 4,000 and now we're over 4 to start off with.
Same company or different company?
It's both the same companies.
So could we authorize an amount up to a certain amount, and then you can look at the different quotes and make a decision
My guess is it's going to be closer to 8.
from the other company?
I really want to see Otis come in with their number before I really want to. I'm nervous about what they're going to come in as a number.
Right, but if we have one for 4, is there a reason why we can't choose that and just pay that amount?
Isn't there some issue about if we have somebody other than Otis do it, that can
Oh, good question.
impact warranties?
Yeah, well, what it is when you're dealing with the elevator and you're trying to run wires inside the elevator shaft, it has to coincide with elevator standards, so we can keep our elevator certificate.
So as long as somebody's licensed to do that work,
Right,
okay.
right. And so we're basically paying Otis to stand there
Oh,
and supervise.
really?
Yes.
The company doing the work doesn't have the equivalent of that?
They're not the certificate holder. We're not asking the card access company to manage our elevators.
Right, but I
No.
thought from what you just said, as long as they meet a set standard, then it's fine. I didn't understand that.
Okay,
That has to be oversought by.
yeah, so Otis elevator would be making sure that standard was met. So essentially they'd be standing there, making sure that the work being done by the card access company was to the standard for their portion of the certificate.
I guess what I'm asking is if there's other inspectors that could fill that role if Otis is unreasonable.
It would be
Like an
me
engineer or something.
moving to a different elevator maintenance company,
Oh, I see.
which I have considered. My problem is most of them have not returned my phone calls.
So there's not an electrical engineer or somebody like that that can.
No,
But ultimately, we do need to have more than one quote, so we still need to pursue.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. And
No,
we're,
I just didn't want to wait another month.
no, I
You know
know.
what I mean?
I understand, Tom.
No, I know.
Okay, and we're pressuring them as much as we can.
Yep.
Um,
Well, no, I just didn't know if there was a way to approve it up to an amount so we can move forward once you get it, or we have
it would be up to them.
The policy says we need quotes on anything over 2,500, is it?
is that correct?
I believe so.
I have to look at the policy
Yeah, I
again.
believe that's what it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
But and to that point, Matt and I had talked earlier about this Snapple with the system, so once we get that resolved, I don't want to leave and wait till a month to report out the expenses, so what I do is.
I'll just have a quick meeting.
Yeah, a quick meeting,
Yep.
we'll cover that, and then
Sounds
by
great.
then we should have the quotes and we can cover
Yes.
that, we put both of those on the agenda.
Yeah, and I'm not, it's not like, look, it's gone on forever, I can wait a month, it's not about that. What it's about is that I know how slow this all moves.
Right.
So like, we approve it, Matt goes out, we get it scheduled, then they have problems with parts because of COVID, and then it's March before
Right.
we've got a card reader on the elevator, and it really, the discipline issues, okay, we're good. But if we can get the ball rolling in a week or so or two, that's perfectly fine. I just didn't want to wait another month.
I'm hoping for another week. Okay, so,
Okay.
all right, the next item is, if you don't mind, District Online Resource Worksheet. And this is a listing of all the online resources that we consume. And what was asked of me was to put in the, I gotta move everyone's picture. The subscription costs paid in fiscal year 2021. I have included, to the best of my ability, all the expenditures that we have paid to date for each line. Okay, so this would be column AT, and a dollar amount for each vendor. Okay, if it was purchased through a credit card, it's almost impossible for me to find under the old system. Under the new system, it would be much more easy to find.
At one point, you were also compiling a utilization.
Yes,
number?
yes, we're still doing that.
Okay.
And there's actually a movement where the data is getting collected better. So at some point, I want to steer in their collected data.
Great.
Okay,
And what I'm planning on using this for is the, as we go through the different, what do you call them, the manifest comment, is when there's different subscriptions, if they're not on this, I'll be adding them to it and asking Matt about, okay, well, this is another one, we just want to make sure that we have them all.
Mhm.
And then we can start taking a look at least in my mind, what exactly are we in, how much is the money? And then we go after the, just to make something up. If we have 7 different series of subscriptions that are all read the news today, do we need 7 different subscriptions of read the news today?
Right.
Right. That's a great question.
And then we can start making sure that for the monies that we're spending, we're actually getting usage on it.
Yep.
So if you've got 7 different platforms and each one's only getting, 10 uses, you just drive all your usage to the one that you're buying, and you might be able to negotiate terms. I'm going to drive 7 times the volume to you that I had before. Can we do anything on rates and for the other subscriptions? So
Good.
I think this is, particularly as more and more goes electronic and we just have the whole scenarios of learning, it will be good. It'll be good to have a handle on what exactly we're signing up for subscriptions.
So you've got plenty of time to dig through it. So,
It's getting chewed up on a regular basis.
gee, I wonder why.
so Jamie, to clarify a little more, whenever a purchase order comes in and it even smells like an online resource, I always make sure that it's on this list. So if something gets paid that's not on this
Right,
list,
he's
and it gets
double
by
checking in
me,
real time.
it will be,
The other thing Matt's been doing is running it by Patty. Like, what is this? What's the need? Right? So he's been slowing it down on that end too a lot. So we're hoping to get a better handle on this. I mean, again, I just want to remind everyone that my second year here, we made a huge list of all the software and we reduced a bunch of things and included things that we felt like we needed. There was one subscription that was $50,000 a year that was grant funded that we did not ask to renew. So we have whittled this down from what it could have been If it was where it was when I walked through the door, it would be over $340,000, at least 300,000. And when we left that list, it was roughly 230, but Jamie's right, there's so much software now and so much happened with COVID and using software and.
It's just a responsible thing to do, to review it.
Exactly,
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
yeah, have a
The
review
number right
process.
now on this list is $340,000.
Yeah, so it's, yeah,
Am I missing the amounts?
It's
But-
all
Column
scroll to the right.
You gotta scroll right
so
over
Jamie,
there.
it's grown and I need to see.
Yeah, well, that's
If you're
Okay.
too far, then it's not.
It should also include,
Oh, okay, I went too far.
Yeah.
it should
That
also
include the
include
budget
our,
software.
but our accounting software. It should
Okay,
So we
include
gotta, I know,
personnel.
we gotta screen those out.
Yeah, but this is,
This is
but
everything.
it should be everything.
Correct.
It should be
absolutely.
everything, but when we reviewed it, just for the clarity of the camera and anyone on the public, we did not review budget software, SIS software, that's student information systems. We reviewed the software that kids use on a day-to-day basis to look for redundancies.
And it's
Okay.
very easy, particularly when you use credit cards, and you're signing up for these things, for them to just bill you if you stopped using it. That's why
Exactly.
usage is important to understand where we
Yeah.
are.
So I also want to give you a little flip side to this too. The more that we push our resources out off into the cloud, the less footprint we have on our own network in the way of servers and switches. We're actually buying less expensive servers, or we're reducing the number of our servers and going to more basic switches, just because the workload is not there. Okay. So to the next item.
Yep.
All right, so I have a staff report in here. I'm going to be asking the school board for permission to pay for vendors by ACH. Okay. The reason why I want to make sure that the school board is aware of this is because of a theft that occurred in the town of Peterborough. Someone got away with $2.3 million, and by turning the switch on in the system, the possibility that this theft could occur to us, it's possible. But then again, by issuing checks, they can get our bank routing information from the bottom of the checks anyways. Okay, so that information is out there.
And for protective purposes, we should, and I request that we should have a written policy, as this is the policy of any changes in ACH, how it's to be done following this policy, and have everybody in the accounting office sign that, and any new hires sign it to demonstrate that they've been trained on that, so that it doesn't slip through the cracks as to there is one and only one way that an ACH gets changed.
I love it, that's a great idea.
Well, because you just get too many instances, and you can put these right into the training document to make sure people are aware of it. We had some discussions this afternoon about scams where people are trying to get information and coming through, hey, you're Verizon, I have this number, you have to send me the code, to all these other things that they're doing now, trying to fish and get information out. And we need to make sure that the office people understand those risks and understand that for bank accounts, there is no emailing changes in, none of that's allowed. It's all paper and personal contact kind of activity.
Right.
So you know exactly who's coming in and that they verified it. And then there's a double verification to be calling the people on record for it, saying, you need to verify for me that you have in fact authorized the change of this ACH.
And you don't call the number on the email you got. You call
Correct.
the number that they have.
But I mean, we should have
That should
all
be in
in
writing,
policy.
I love
Okay.
it. I think it's
All right.
great.
Okay.
Can I get one of those for my family?
Yeah.
Particularly a certain 16-year-old.
So we actually sent out 3 test payments. We actually, there were 2 to the New Hampshire Retirement and 1 to one of our special education vendors, and they went through fine. Now, if we implement this, I'm going to ask at some point that we do it to 100% of our vendors. So if they want to do business with the district, they're going to receive their payment via ACH as opposed to a check in the mail. That will reduce our postage cost. That will reduce the amount of time that our payment sits in the mail for mail flow. Hopefully we'll get the payment there before it triggers a late fee, because now that we know that the mail is so late now that the late fees are now getting triggered. It also reduces the time. We're not going to be stuffing the envelopes. We're not going to be putting the invoices in the envelopes anymore.
And postage.
all of it.
But do you have an idea of how much a savings of postage itself would be?
It's really the post, okay, no, I don't. I can figure that out.
I mean, I have to imagine it's gonna be, never mind the envelope and the piece of paper, the check itself that needs to.
Well, it costs about $10 to pay a bill by check.
Oh, really? The whole thing?
Yeah.
Between the envelope, the
I-
mail, the check, the
Most
process.
people,
But the process is still there though, so
Yeah, but the
Well,
process will be
it will
way
be
faster.
quicker.
Yes.
But you still have somebody who has to input it in.
I'm gonna gain about 2 hours every 2 weeks. Okay.
Well,
And that's,
the hard savings is gonna be in the postage, and it's gonna be marginal. I mean, it's not gonna be a huge number.
right,
Well, how
But
many
it
checks,
allows
how
better
many checks,
process.
how many checks are mailed?
yeah,
I have to get that
You guys
number,
don't know
and
how
the
many
system can
checks?
generate it for me.
there's a lot of
Information.
setting up time too, to establish the ACH accounts.
Yes, yes,
Right,
that's all manual.
and everybody, not all those numbers have to be right.
That's right. And so to make sure the numbers are right, like as Jamie said, we'd actually call the company using a publicly issued number, verify the information. We'd also be sending them a pre-note, which is a $0 transaction. They'd have to verify that they received it. And then we will go live with the payment, okay?
But long term, it's just the way to go for efficient operations.
Yes. Okay. The next one is vendor manifest questions. Okay, the first one is A and B lock. We had installed a camera in a blind spot in the, I'm sorry, the question is, in all the prior discussions on cameras, we never noted that there were areas within the high school and middle school complex that were issues. We actually identified the building as being properly covered. Where is the blind spot and how was it determined, and what needed a new camera here? Thanks. I'm unaware that someone identified the building as being properly covered. It's my understanding that there are gaps in coverage. There was response, and here's the response from the middle school principal. At the end of the hallway of the second floor hallway in the middle school, a student and a teacher had a verbal exchange outside of a room, and it was not picked up on the camera. It was fine as the incident was minor. The camera at the end of the wing faces the stairwell away from the room, which is in the back corner. Okay. The next one deals with All Data LLC, which is a scanning tool for our auto shop. Why do we need to scan vehicles? Yes, we need to scan vehicles. We have an automotive shop here in the high school that the scanning tool is used to diagnose modern cars. The scanning tool plugs directly into the vehicle's computer and provides error codes that the students have to resolve the issue. Without the scan tools, the teacher will not be able to instruct the students of modern automotive techniques and will not be able to identify the issue that to be resolved.
And I was thinking of a scan tool, like a barcode coming in.
Yeah, like a
this-
barcode.
This vehicle coming in and this vehicle going out. We don't have that much traffic for vehicles
Right.
coming in and coming out. What's
Yeah.
the scan for?
So just everyone knows this is a common scan tool, and it just gets plugged into a port underneath the dashboard.
It's to run the electronics in the car to understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
I bought one from Auto Palace for $80. But I'm sure it's not as comprehensive as. this.
Yeah, the ones that I've seen at the automotive shops, they're about $4,500 a year. So this
Oh,
is
the
actually,
shops, okay.
yeah, so the ones that they actually use,
Does this include upgrades or is that just for the?
it's an online subscription. You should be able to find this on the online subscription worksheet.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is, let's see, we just committed as a district about $100,000 in new books. Waiting on the final accounting for this. And we're buying another $1,000 of books. Why? Books are consumables. We purchase books throughout the year. So basically they wear out.
So, I mean, one of the things that I'm trying to get a handle on is, we have a book budget. How much is in the book budget? Then we had specific programs that we bought books for. We bought a whole bunch of Envision books
For math.
for math. We bought a whole bunch of reading books. I said at the time that we bought the reading books, I note that we don't have a whole bunch of books about our founding fathers or founding documents, historical information. And I'm trying to understand what exactly is our book program. And ultimately, I want to be able to make sure that we are funding those books that we are missing. The other thing I have concerns on books is we're bringing in $100,000 worth of books. So those are assets of the district that are going into classrooms. Most of these teachers have their own set of personal books that they have brought into classrooms. We have turnover. How are we protecting our assets, marking them, stamping them or something so that we know that there are books? Otherwise, they can inadvertently go out the door and then we'll be back in a situation saying we don't have enough books in our classrooms. So somehow we have to come up with a process of marking our books.
Oh, they're marked.
Yeah.
They're marked so much. They're marked so much that I have a problem trying to dispose of them.
But Jamie, you're right. There are people who buy, like there are some teachers who have way more books because they bought them with their own money.
Yep.
And you're right that.
And I don't ever want to be in a position of saying to a teacher, you can't take those books, we think they're ours. I mean, they're
No,
books, they should
yeah.
have their notice.
Yeah,
Their
no.
books are their books, they need to go take them if they go.
Did you talk to Patty about that today at all?
I did not.
Okay, that'd be a really, I'll email her right now. But
All right, so the next question is, how many people in the district have procurement cards that allow them to unilaterally make purchases that will be covered by the district? All right, so just for everyone's consumption, a purchase card looks like a credit card. Essentially, we get a percentage back on the transaction for the sale. So all the people that are authorized to use the P cards are all the building principals, the superintendent, the business administrator, the facilities manager, the director of academics, the director of student services, the athletic director, the superintendent's admin assistant, and the IT director. All of these accounts are reconciled on a monthly basis. Also note that you'll see in the manifest, the business administrator's P card is tied directly to the district's Amazon account. This is intended to extend our line of credit with Amazon from $27,000 to an additional $60,000 to bring it up to $87,000. This also means that the district sees cash back for every purchase made. Okay. The next question is why are
Just
we?
for a second on that. So why are we tied to Amazon? What's the point of it being Amazon?
The problem is in the early fall, there's so many orders for Amazon that we can max out that line of credit. And when that happens, it takes literally a month and a half to turn those payments around and clear it out. So to pay it with the P card, I can turn it around in, I don't know, 14 days, as opposed to a month and a half. Paying by Amazon through their line of credit is not easy.
Are these purchases of things from Amazon or just using an Amazon credit card base?
Yeah, we have a business class Amazon account. So we buy a lot of supplies through Amazon and gets delivered to the schools. Yeah, so we primarily get our supplies from WB Mason and from Amazon.
It was just, I mean, Amazon has obviously the history of being the lowest cost out there, but in recent years, that hasn't been the case. People just default to Amazon because they're so used to Amazon, and Amazon has changed their pricing.
well, that would be a clever business model, that wouldn't it?
Yeah, so it's something to be aware of, that we don't fall into just, well, that's where we go to, Amazon's cheapest, because it's not always cheapest.
Yeah, and we try to do an analysis every year for our supplies purchases, so we're not running into that situation where we really want to have our overall products to be cheaper across the board as opposed to one or two items. And I have one vendor off the top of my head who's trying to get in the door and only sell us those items that would wreck our business with other vendors. All right, so the next item is why are we buying an SLR camera for $549? This is equipment for a high school photography class. Okay, the next item is Consolidated Communications, which is a high school telephone for $455. what telephone is this? Why do we need a separate telephone when we have a phone system for all of our schools? I mean, for our school. This cost relates to data service that brings voice over IP into the phone system. So this is the line charge to go into the phone system.
So it's not a phone, it's the service to the phone,
Yeah, so it's an internet connection
voice
directly,
over IP.
yeah, directly to the phone system.
Yeah.
Okay, as opposed to your traditional landlines. Okay, so this is one of those,
So our phone system is voice over IP?
it is
Okay.
here at the high school.
Yep.
The other ones are not. Okay, and just so to let you know, at some point, I'm gonna be bringing in a proposal to replace the phones in the rest of the district and get rid of a lot of the landlines. Because the IT director thinks he can do it for the same cost.
Same monthly cost?
Yes. All right, the next one is mulch for the playgrounds. Is there a reason we made this purchase in the fall just before snow when the winters will severely impact mulch rather than in the spring? This is a spring summer activity. When I came back from my medical leave, I found that it was not performed and made sure that it was completed to standards specified by our insurance carrier.
So normally we don't do this in the fall.
We do not.
Those, I don't know if you saw them, but they were like, those playgrounds were super low, like where there was no mulch, it was pretty bad.
Okay, let's see, can we get a breakout of the major categories for our legal costs? For that particular bill, there is no major category for each service other than general representation. The invoice is linked here.
I can speak to that, though. I can tell you what the majority of the.
Yeah, if you would.
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. So there are basically 3 core categories, maybe 4, that most legal costs fall under. But there's a unique category last year. So typically we reach out to attorneys for negotiations. So we have a fee that we pay for the attorney to assist with negotiations. And then we have a fee that we pay for personnel matters. So when there's a problem with a personnel issue, we will reach out to an attorney to make sure that we're following. Basically, it saves us the money at the end from the upfront. And then one of the other primary times that we consult with an attorney is when there are questions about laws and policies. So for example, the device of concepts law. Sometimes we reach out to NHSBA. They help us. They have an attorney on staff that does policy work. So we often reach out to them about policies because that's, once you pay the annual fee for NHSBA, they help you out with the policy component. So that's not usually a reason why we contact Drummond and Woodsum. But the biggest thing that we have had to use the lawyer for in the last 2 years, last year and a half, is COVID. All of the different leaves. I mean, last October, I was on the phone with a lawyer every single day, dealing with FMLA, the MOAs, the negotiations around health and safety, bless you more, all the issues that went on. I mean, last October and November were 2 of the worst months of my career. So, it worked. We were open more than anyone else, but there's a cost for that. And so it just depends on what the issue is. But it was bad last year. I expect it to be far less this year. That's my opinion. Did that help to kind of give like a basic?
Yeah, just, I mean, when I see a $10,000 bill come in, I like a little bit more than.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lawyer. Well, okay, what would you do?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, sure.
I provided them with the invoice.
Yeah, the invoice tells you exactly right down to the minute what the each event, what they are, but some of the stuff is confidential, obviously, and please be careful if you're sharing the invoices that there's no information on there.
Just a general representation, $10,000.
You can click on the link though, and it gives you more detail.
Yeah, the invoices are pretty
Yeah.
detailed from Drummond
Okay.
Woodsum. Yeah. Jim's good about that. And Jim has also been really good about helping us out if something doesn't go well. We had a situation last year where he gave us a big discount because we were spending so much money. But
No, this is helpful.
yeah, there's
I
nothing.
understand the length. Thank you.
Yeah, yep,
Okay,
good.
all right, next question. Let's see. District kitchen repairs, $1,674.83. Wouldn't this be the landlord charges of the kitchen needs repairs? What type of repairs are these in the needs of this type of money? Annually, we have all of our kitchen equipment at all of our schools evaluated and repaired. That, high school, BIK Memorial,
Which kitchens are we talking about?
school lunch.
Okay.
So like the hoods over the stoves need to be inspected and cleaned. Every single stove needs to be cleaned before the year starts. Okay, the next one is BIK Boilers for $150,000. Will we see this come out of trust funds at the next trust fund report? No, funding was general fund appropriation, where the school board transferred funds for this purpose in June of 2021. The next one, MacBooks and digital subscription for $3,087. We paid for the MacBooks as for 6 as part of the new math program last year. Is this a typo and should start with 7? If not, we should seek a refund on the 6th grade part, as that was already paid for as part of the support for the new program. This is just one payment of a larger order. Not everything we ordered is shipped in one shipment. The screenshot below are of all the orders to date on this PO. And so I provided a screenshot of, there was one big giant order. It just came in bits and pieces, and we paid them in bits and pieces.
Do we have all the books in now? I would hope since we're in the middle of the year.
I
For the
can
math, yeah, oh yeah, as far as I know.
I can only tell based upon as the invoices come in, because they gotta go and check the books before they put the invoices in the system. So as they come across the manifest, I see them. I don't see them before that. Okay, the next one is online subscriptions for Mystery Space. There are 2 identical descriptions, one for $1,708 and one for $1,289. What do we need 2 different subscriptions? Also, I thought we had a science curriculum. Why do we need a mystery science website to generate science ideas? Well, this is one order with the vendor. The costs are allocated to each elementary school. So in the manifest, there were 2 lines, one for BIK and one for Memorial. Mystery Science provides teachers with lessons for our elementary learners that are high interest, aligned to the next generation science standards, and include videos and activities that hook our students' interests. Mystery Science units have been hands-on components, and students can do science. Not only can the lessons and videos be used in class, they can be viewed by the students at home and are great for when the students are home with illness. Since the emphasis in elementary tends to be on reading, writing, and mathematics, it's helpful to have a resource that teachers can use to aid the lesson planning, as well as keeping our students engaged and interested.
What's the question about, can the kids, we talk about kids can do it at home. Do the kids get an account to do these lessons at home? Like, does each?
I believe there's like a generic account for the kids to log into. I don't know specifically because I don't have access to the program side.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can say personal experience, my kids like them.
Mystery Science?
Yeah,
Oh, they're wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know when we did remote, they had
Yeah.
some, but if there was more than they would be cool.
Okay, thanks for the feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is Northern Essex Community College. The question was, I thought students paid this tuition. This is $11,659. How is it funded? For this year, tuition is being paid from a federal grant, which is Title 4A.
Is normally that they're
No.
picking up that as parents? Who funds Northern Essex Community College?
I believe it's the parents. This is not a normal funding mechanism. It only occurred really, I only seen it during COVID.
Yeah, I thought it was the parents too from prior discussions.
I'd have to do some research on that.
No, I thought, and maybe why are
Mine's
these
on the hallway, I can
students
go
taking
get it.
these classrooms? I thought, or these classes, I thought it was if we couldn't offer a class
The
to
dual enrollment.
NECO.
Yeah, it's
No, it's dual enrollment. They may take it at the college level instead of at the high school too. It's not just if we don't own it.
Oh, okay, so if they wanted to take calculus,
Well, I'm not gonna say As an example,
Just that,
yes.
like, I don't
I'm
know.
not
I'm
gonna
just
say
trying to throw in a
definitively
generic
calculus
class
because
that-
Jamie's here.
I'm just trying to throw in a class that would be taught here,
Right.
why would they be taking it at NECO?
They
Because
get college
They
credit.
get college credit
Right.
for it.
So it's on them to pay for it because it's not that Sanborn can't offer, it's they want to get college credit for it at the same time?
Yeah,
Is
it's,
that the
it-
justification?
I really don't feel comfortable myself answering these questions. I would prefer to have Brian come and explain how all that works,
Okay.
because there's different schools, there's different programs, and I just don't dare to, I
Yeah,
don't want to say the wrong thing. I want to make sure that, you get accurate information. So if you'd like to invite him to a meeting, or we could just, you
Okay.
could shoot him an email or whatever you want to do. He's out in the hallway, but we've got another meeting in 5 minutes. He's got a
Yeah.
lot of questions.
I think
so-
that this might be a good conversation that I have another time with, I don't even
Yeah,
know, with more, just more with like, I'm just guessing it probably, goes back to ISA or
wanna
whatever.
come in? Yeah, you want to
We're
explain about
talking-
NECO and SNHU, how the fees work? You just be quick to get it
I
done.
mean, we could,
Yeah.
and if we're on time.
I don't know that I know, but
Does it, I don't know if I need an answer now, I know it goes off into a tangent of
Yep.
all these things that we're looking to do for next year, the year after, and the schedules and whatnot, I didn't know
Yeah.
how that might play, if kids aren't gonna be able to take certain classes from, I
Yeah,
don't,
let's hold on that.
yeah, I
think
don't,
we should,
I
yeah,
don't
I
need to
think
open
we-
that can of worms
Yeah,
right
it's-
now.
You should just make it, have a
But-
meeting with Brian.
But
Yeah.
here's what I will tell you, there are logical answers. for it.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be, it's not bad.
Just answer this question quickly.
Yeah.
When kids take a NECO or an SNHU class,
Yeah.
do they pay the fees for the college course, or
Yes.
does it vary?
Well, they pay the fees, we've been able to get some grant funds the last couple of years to cover the Northern Essex piece, so that's been great, they haven't had to. But otherwise, yes, it would be typical that you're gonna take it, it's $100 or $150, whatever it is, you would pay that. Sometimes we're the intermediary, depending on the relationship, sometimes they pay the school directly, but either way, the money goes to the school.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks.
all right. And the rest of it, just let me know, we can.
Okay,
Yeah. What you talk.
Okay, so the last item on this particular document is what classrooms were buying 5 Read Across America carpets for the total of $2,148. The 5 Read Across America carpets were purchased for our grade 4 classrooms. The carpets are part of the morning meeting routine that follows the responsive classroom training that memorial teachers are receiving throughout the year. Last year, early in the pandemic, all the classroom rugs were removed from the school and stored in our shed due to a combination of factors, including age of the previous carpets, condition of the shed, as well as mice. The older carpets we were not able to salvage and needed to be thrown away.
Gotta have a morning meeting, Carmen.
So I want to publicly thank Jamie for all these questions, because I didn't contribute anything.
no, I didn't either.
It's a lot of work, and
Well, I
the
mean,
information is valuable.
and then I don't want to belabor it, but if we're gonna take things and we're gonna store them, we need to make sure that we're storing them in a way that they don't get ruined.
Yeah,
And if there's issues with the shed, then we need to make note of, we don't store things in the shed.
Yeah, or we fix the shed.
Yeah, or-
But the reality is that the age of the carpets was more the issue than the shed.
yeah. And
Right, you heard what he said, because he said the age of the carpets, some of them weren't great.
Right,
Right,
but if that was a true driving issue, then we would have thrown them away.
yeah, I don't know
Not
what
put them in
happened.
the shed.
Yeah, and I think we should look at the shed, because,
Yeah, that's, Matt and I had talked about.
yeah, you
that.
guys should go over and take a look, and Jim, the facilities committee should go over and take a look, because,
I'll bring my mothballs.
So before we run out of time, let's quickly talk about the trust funds.
Yes.
Matt, rather than going into the numbers,
Do you want me to just skip by the numbers and go right to the?
yeah,
problem?
let's have the discussion about, let's have a discussion about the investment. So the trust is holding $640,000.
Yes.
Something like that. And I think that we as a finance committee need to weigh in
I
as
don't
to
know.
what our beliefs are from a district perspective. So inflation is going up. Cash and near cash instruments aren't really earning a lot. And if you're trying to make sure you're getting some return to preserve your purchasing power, you invest in a higher return instrument. That means a higher risk instrument. It would be my perspective that these are funds that may be needed in an emergency that cannot be tied up in something that is not liquid as needed. And the other concern I would have is, and everyone's gonna have a different opinion. My personal opinion is The markets are such that I would not want to be rolling the dice on throwing things in the market at the top of a market when we are looking at economic issues and product can't flow. We are looking at spending another $3 trillion, $4 trillion in money. We have inflation rising on a regular basis. There's a lot of things the feds are talking about, maybe having to increase interest rates. I don't particularly believe that this is a time to say, let's chase yield.
Right.
I would be of the perspective that we should be preserving principle as the primary drive in what return can we get consistent with preserving principle and allowing the conversion of these funds to cash as needed in an emergency basis, because they're reserve funds that you might have to tap. Matt, your perspectives?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I've heard of a town where the trustees had invested funds in stocks and bonds, and when it came time to withdraw the funds weren't there because the value of the stocks and bonds had actually dipped down below the amount of the contribution of the taxpayer contribution.
Hey,
What the heck?
Oh,
Knocked out?
they let you in, right?
Someone came and let us in, yes.
Oh, we're
We're
wrapping up
recording.
finance. We're almost done.
Oh, you're not done yet.
Just a few
No,
seconds.
just 2 more minutes.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, so it's my opinion that I would rather have the taxpayer funds available in case there's an emergency, especially if there's rising interest rate inflation. Because the next year's budget could have an emergency in there that we did not anticipate.
Laura, Jim, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
I agree with
No, I
that.
agree with
I don't think the market's just hit new highs. You're gonna invest at a new high with all this, the uncertainty out there. Bitcoin and all of that is way too unstable, so, yeah, stay with the
So Matt, from your
on-demand
perspective,
investment.
so you're hearing from the finance committee that we want to move towards that preserve principle and make sure. Do you want a motion to do that? Do you want us to talk to the board to do that? So you can reference that with the trustees? What works best from your perspective?
I think what I'd like to do is, why don't I put together a staff report for the next school board meeting? And then we can have a full discussion of the full school board.
Okay, and in the meantime, if you can say you've at least gotten the sense of the finance committee
Yes.
that we want to be preserving principle as the primary driver and not jumping into the stocks and the bond markets.
Yep, okay.
All right, so why don't we wrap up? We have another meeting. We have some unfinished items here. We'll have to have that second meeting anyways to cover the expenditures, and we'll then talk about what the trust numbers are and then the open items that are still remaining.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Meeting adjourned?
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.